Hey, welcome everyone. I'd like to welcome you to this Manufacturing 4.0 Benefits with a Majority webinar session. My name is Prashant Adiraju. I'm the Principal Partner Leader in the partner organization focused on AWS IoT-based solutions. I'd like to welcome Sid here today. Sid, if you could briefly introduce yourself.
Hi, Prashant. Thank you for your introduction. Myself, Sid Verma. I am the General Manager for the Manufacturing and the Industrial IoT division out of Hitachi Vantara.
Oh, thank you, Sid.
Thank you very much, Prashant, for the introduction of the program. I think it has been a privilege working with AWS on setting up this manufacturing solution base. So let me start with something we are dealing with. I guess it has become called the new normal, but typically in industry language, we'll call it an industry shock, also sometimes referred to as the supply shock. Historically, industry shocks have brought about a lasting change and shifts in the way we do our business. And you will agree with me that the rate of change of these external factors impacting our business has incredibly increased. I mean, the fires, the floodings, the trade wars, that kind of makes doing business a challenging area. We have to constantly adjust. And the new pandemic kind of added a massive layer of complexity on the top. So going forward, doing digital transformation has not only become something good to do, but has become a necessary thing that we have to do. Going forward, strategic transformation is a burning platform. And the question is, where do you want to start? What should we focus first for the maximum impact? And that is kind of the journey I'll try to take you as I move forward with my presentation. Before I get into the details, I want to give you a little background of Hitachi Vantara. Hitachi Vantara is the digital business for Hitachi Limited. Hitachi Limited, as you already know, is a 110-year-old industrial company with deep roots in operation technology. But also, over the last 60 years, we have been deep in information technology area. The main element I want to bring in here is we are also a manufacturer at heart. We are trying to deal with the same challenges as most of our customers and our partners are dealing with in transforming ourselves in the Industry 4.0 journey. In today's presentation, I'll try to talk about the lessons learned with our own transformation journey and how we have productized it, systematized it, and are able to showcase that can be used going forward. Before we jump into our transformation journey, it is good to set up the guiding principles. We have learned that repeatability of the transformation happens if the guiding principles are set and well understood. Guiding principles help us in understanding where you are as an organization, help us in taking projects that are right-sized and are based on the key use cases. One of the main things we found, a wholesale rip and replace strategy usually does not work. And it has to give way to leveraging what you already have for different areas like data integration, process enhancement, and optimization. So here we try to point you towards a more systematic approach in guiding principles based on what is good for the business, and also create specific values around addressing the core essence of transformation. We like to accommodate most of the existing organization, enable change management approaches, and also look for gaps in understanding and abilities of the workforce that needs to be addressed. So it's not only a technology game, it's kind of live with what you got and improve based on ROI and keep the labor force in the sense of your workforce aligned to it. This picture represents what we call the intelligent manufacturing journey. It is a continuous journey that helps you over time improve in level of digitization, and help you transform. This is a journey that Hitachi has followed and learned from by doing their own transformation. And we are very proud to share the steps and our learnings with our client and partners. This is also what we call the staircase of value. As you go up the chain, you create more value for yourself. Manufacturing maturity, as you can see from the level 1, 2, 3, 4, they vary. And it varies by factory, it varies by section of factories. And from my personal analysis, most of the manufacturers are typically between level 1 and 2. And the big step or the big jump for us in terms of the industry 4.0 or manufacturing 4.0 is to jump from level 3 to level 4, where we start doing a customer level inclusive and symbiotic strategies. And this is kind of a journey we have talked with our partner, worked with our partner AWS. And as we go forward, we'll try to give you a lot more detail of our successes. We have also experienced typical environments like our clientele and partners are very heterogeneous. They have varied ages of machine, system architecture is different, built over time, island of automation, and places with lots of manual data being collected and several large monolithic islands of manufacturing system and apps. This makes transformation a very challenging ask. So having guiding principles, having a journey map, and then following that path to drive business outcome towards a maturity is quite important. From our learning, what we have done is we've divided the journey slide that we had into different solution modules. So if you see on the left-hand side, level 1, 2, 3, 4 are now vertically stacked up in terms of your journey. And what we have done is we have looked at 5 major categories of functional domains within a client. And we have tried to align solution cores on each of them and stack them up for level of maturity. So example for production analytics will let you get to a level 1. And then you can start building on top with that for high precision production scheduling, production optimization, and that will kind of walk you through the journey in the transformation area. The important part here is that the manufacturing functional domain should be combined with a technology domain and also some consulting services as you try to customize the various solutions to meet the specific need of your own operations. The solution modules as we create are not monolithic core. They are functionally broken down blocks that leverage technologies to deliver a proper functional use case. And that is kind of the way we have built the solution cores, and they're built over time as the needs arise from a client. And they kind of help you walk the journey on the maturity model. As you build more and more complexity, more and more modules, and they stack them over each other, you start getting a lot more value and ROI for your use cases. On the technology side, we like to keep them as containerized microservices, so you can add on and off things that you need or you don't need. And they could be deployed on-premise as needed in the edge layer or on cloud, with, like I'll show you, working with our AWS partners. One of the important things that we kind of got challenged was we were able to do a lot of POCs, but when it came to scaling, that was the thing that made us think our strategy, and based on our experience, we are following a path of what we call mass customization. So important part here is first to align with how the customer sees the world. If you see on the right-hand side, how the customer sees the world is their own technology environment, which they live and breathe every day. And they have technologies that meet their functional needs. So going leftwards from the client is their functional need or environment. So they usually deal with what they call maintenance, supply chain, health and safety, and then they have their own environment to do it. For solution providers and transformation agents, we need to make sure our sales and our product align closely with the client needs. And that's what we call the industrial offerings. So now, as a service providers, there is a challenge we have to work with. Customer needs and their environments are unique, and their problems and the way they operate is also unique. Almost no two companies can be called as alike. Even if they're from outside, they look like they do the same thing. For example, I worked at Ford and GM and Chrysler, and they all look like they make similar kind of vehicles, but inside their environment and the way they operate is quite different. So not one solution is going to fit exactly their need. To meet their needs, we will have to have a tailored solution. So one of the standard ways of offerings is to have a system integrator or a global system integrator will use platforms and implement to the needs. That's kind of one of the major ways in which most of the companies operate. But they have the downside of taking a longer time to create, typically higher cost, and also long-term maintenance issues as you try to live with a customized solution. On the other side, you can use a platform company or a product company, which is much faster and cheaper, but platforms tend to be built for masses, for large-scale deployment, because the product companies typically build them with economies of scale. Hence, they are not always customized to the end needs of the client. So to solve for these challenges, we use the process or methodology of mass customization. We have built our product suite Manufacturing Insight, which is configurable from inside to meet the offerings and functional module needs of the client. And the clients can add on to these with a minimal level of customization. And we can easily be integrated into the other client subsystems. So this mass customization is kind of the way that Hitachi is building the profiles of the solutions that are highly differentiated and get to a much faster reach to the value and also much lower cost of deployment. Just giving you a quick glimpse of the architecture as the product suite is done. So on the left side, you see different form of data that can be ingested. On the right side is also the business systems, which take a lot of data for visualization or additional analysis. Within those area is what the manufacturing suite that Hitachi offers. And the way it is configured is we have on the top what we call production or product cores, which are defined by the functional domain that the client looks at. At the bottom is the library where we keep our IP of past projects, past products, past analytics, past KPIs. And we are able to work with different solution cores and analytic cores that provide the different use cases the client needs. The following slide provides the solution architecture for how we are able to deploy manufacturing insights. Prashant, I'd like to give you a few minutes to share your thoughts on how AWS has helped us on this journey and also the roadmap going forward.
So what I want to talk about, as Sid explained the proposition of the manufacturing insight solution, I want to talk about two key things, right? Why the proposition of the cloud and why AWS, then talk about what are the set of capabilities the manufacturing insight solution leverages to really create a much more scalable, cost-effective solution for customers that Sid covered. Now, the first point, right, we are in the midst of a shift to the cloud. And there are a couple of reasons why manufacturing customers are wanting to move to the cloud. The first is obviously cost, and the cost is always the conversation starter because you don't really have to pay for the capital upfront, for the servers upfront, and instead you get to pay for what you consume as a variable expense. The second big reason is agility, right? You're now able to really dramatically improve your customer experience, the experience of your developers, your engineers, because you're now able to provision things in the cloud very fast. And third thing is you get access to capabilities and features, and there's over 175 different services AWS provides, and you can really get an order of magnitude scale and much faster in terms of implementation. So in our partnership with Hitachi Vantara, they're essentially leveraging the AWS services to sort of deliver the manufacturing insight solution. And there are a couple of things that I want to just highlight, right? One is AWS provides the most secure cloud and edge, so you can really trust your fleets and your data being secure. We're actually the most secure cloud with the most standards, most compliant certification of any other cloud provider. The second thing is we offer automated scaling with serverless. So this architecture is a serverless architecture, so you really have to only pay for what you use. And AWS IoT is built completely serverless and multi-tenant, so you can really connect, whether you're connecting a few devices or a few assets in a plant, or you're connecting hundreds and thousands of these sites across the globe. You don't really have to think about the underlying infrastructure. So you've removed off all the infrastructure management tasks for customers. So you really have to just not worry about capacity planning. How do you really grow these fleets of sites in a very scalable manner? And that essentially means you truly pay for what you use, right? And then the third big thing is there's the broadest and deepest set of edge to cloud offerings from AWS IoT services, MLAI services, to essentially deliver the solution proposition that Sid talked about. So with that, I want to sort of hand it back to Sid to take us through the rest of the webinar.
Thank you, Prashant, for your valuable insights. Just to show you some of the products that have been deployed at the client, if you can see the manufacturing insight deployed at a global company, we were able to look at the global dashboard for a plant manager. We were able to do bottleneck analysis for automotive engine manufacturer here. Here we are able to do a quality assessment and quality review in a semi-real-time manner. And on the right side, a maintenance view of the product as deployed. Just a quick glimpse of how the product looks like. Now, just to walk you through how the intelligent manufacturing journey is actually deployed. For a manufacturer that faces a lot of challenges in realizing value from transformation project, there is not one way that fits everything. So what we bring is our ability to inspire, envision, architect, and accelerate digital transformation from our normally three-step process, but it has a lot of variations based on where the client is currently at the journey and the task as it. So we start with discovery, like all projects, so where we try to align to the business use case, goals, current challenges, current assessment. And from there, we have a four-pronged approach, basically where we like to see where is the actual next step coming from. So we can do a value-based roadmap where we do an envisioning workshop and define value pools. Or we can do a business strategy where we look at Industry 4.0 and benchmarks and how everybody else is doing it. We can focus on operations excellence and improving processes, or we can look at manufacturing excellence using automation. Using the four steps, one or more at the same time, we typically bring forward the roadmap, the use cases, and an ROI associated with them. That kind of leads us to the step number 3, which is the proof of value. And in proof of value, we like to deploy the use cases in using technology. In that, sometimes we have pre-built IP and solution cores that are coming from manufacturing insights product. Sometimes we do co-creation. Sometimes we use partner technologies to build it. Using that, we do some development and testing, sometimes in co-creation. And after the proof of value is done, we help them deploy and operationalize it in production. Last step for us is actually to ensure that we set up a digital COE for the client so that the transformation value can be captured for long term. And also it allows us to do a long-term, like a change management training profile, so the technology is not one-off. At Hitachi, we take the digital transformation quite seriously. And we'd like to extensively do the same things that we preach outside. For example, our Omika Work Factory was actually considered and awarded the Lighthouse account by World Economic Forum. And this is kind of the place where we have the biggest benefit and adoption of Industry 4.0 principles and technology. We were able to generate a considerable benefit over time. And just be mindful, it was not like a one-shot approach, but it's a continuous improvement journey that took us many years to reach this level of improvement. Our projects and techniques were implemented at many other external partners. And one of the major ones was at an automotive manufacturing company, where we deployed the whole discovery, assess, POC, and deployment in production of the manufacturing insight solution. And it was a quite successful journey. It took us around 18 months to get there, a large-scale deployment. And we were able to secure a 15% reduction in the assembly downtime. Quite a remarkable achievement for us. I want to showcase the next slide, just a very tactical example, more aligned to our topic, which is how do we deploy this at mass scale. So this is a customer that we are focusing on. It's a small, medium customer. It's in the commercial and industrial vehicle operations. They have 30 factories, and they provide automotive parts. They follow the same challenges like downtime, performance issues, lack of real-time OEE calculation, and a lot of manual routing and condition monitoring. We have them to run through a discovery and an assessment module. And after that, we defined 2 use cases where we wanted to focus, which had the highest ROI for them. The first one was the real-time OEE calculation across multiple asset classes and at a factory level. And the second was actually doing the detailed condition monitoring, because condition monitoring here was linked to vibration modules, which was closely linked with the failure modes on a lot of their production elements. So we were able to generate the solution course that we had in the manufacturing insight solution and operationalize it quickly, and also get some of the level 2 facilities solution course activated. We brought in detailed and deep manufacturing SME expertise on those asset classes and help them do some root cause analysis and get to the actual value quite quick. So the solution that we are showing on the left-hand side helped implement a turnkey OEE module, which got them OEE calculated at many assets at the lower level. And then from the top, we were able to do an overall OEE. And after the OEEs was done, we were able to set up intelligent anomaly detection and alerts based on what we were seeing in variability in production and quality. On the right side, we set up a digital signal processing module, which was able to do high-frequency data ingestion and prognostics and fault detection. So this was something that we didn't have before, and we were happy to co-create with the client and deploy it into production. Next slide focuses on the continuous improvement approach. So once we set up the manufacturing insights platform, we like to build on top of it so that we can continuously improve using analytics and data science as a service. So generally, the way it works is we are able to ingest data from the customer assets, and the data is collected in a data lake or an industrial data lake. We can sometimes separate the edge in the cloud as the need be. But once the data is collected, we can then run through an analytical workbench or an analytical platform where we have predefined and configured analytical cores. And this is like an end-of-life calculator, health model calculators. And those things allow an operator to see intelligent alerts and help them maintain and operate their systems faster. This thing can be done as a service where the operations system, which is the data platform, can allow to give operational and real-time system updates on how the operations is working, and the analytic stuff allows you to do intelligent predictions on maintenance and optimization. And this is a continuous journey too. Like over time, as the assets change, we can update these models and keep the loop for continuous improvement going. Output of this project was we got around 25% reduction in the machine breakdown just over a small period of time. And also the OE itself for the machine setups, well, we were able to improve by 2 or 3 basis points, depending on the machine. As we are coming to the end, I'd like to talk about what we were able to productionize it from this. So typically, large companies have the budget and resources to do digital transformation. Most of the stories you see are successes from large organizations. But here, what we focused on was to see if we can create a digital transformation journey for the small, medium clients, and something that we can learn that can help them deploy it again and again and scale it. So important thing we learned was to quickly come to a defined roadmap that aligns to a functional use case and ROI, get them approved. And we had, over experience doing it to our own factories and our clients, build many of these. Try to not build everything from scratch. I know the environments are very heterogeneous and complicated, but having a turnkey solution that comes with prepackaged IP really helps scale things faster and keeps the cost low. And one thing that I learned by my work in consulting and in large enterprises is like you can't do it alone. You always need help in terms of partners who have expertise in some areas and have a lot of scale in those areas. So having partners for you who are in for a long term will definitely help in transformation. So finally, for me, I leave you with a few messages. Setting up a structured process, having a partnership, from my point of view, will help you jumpstart your innovation journey, and just make sure you're always pointing towards ROI and value in terms of aligning to it. Before we head into Q&A, I'd like to ask Prashant for his takeaway as he kind of spent his time on the same journey as I did. So Prashant, over to you.
Thank you, Sid, for that overview. In summary, from an AWS perspective, we want to leave you with this key message, right? Our partnership with Hitachi is quite strategic, and we are working with them to really help accelerate delivery of solutions. And we talked about this manufacturing 4.0 for the masses and trying to do this for everyone. And the objective here is to make the journey easier for our manufacturing customers so that they can optimize operations, they can reduce infrastructure heavy lifting, and really unlock the value that's in their data. And we want our customers to have a very consistent experience with AWS. And I think this is where the partnership with Hitachi is extremely important. And I'm quite excited that we're partnering with Hitachi very deeply here. They're a strategic partner of ours in the industrial space. So I really thank Sid for his time today in providing an overview of the solution and the partnership with AWS. So thank you all for watching this webinar. We'll now open it up for a live Q&A. But you should also go to this link here to learn more about the solution on AWS that Hitachi Vantara has developed, and look forward to working with you all. I will open it up for Q&A. Thank you.